Hey, hey, great evening, everybody. Hope everybody's having a phenomenal day. My name is Stephen Loney, and I have with me.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Test
Yes,
one,
sir. I can
two.
hear you loud and
All
clear. Can you hear
right.
me? All
Yes,
right.
indeed. Yes, indeed.
If you can
All
introduce
right.
yourself to the people.
No worries. No worries. Michael Dillard, Mr. Resilient. I call myself Mr. Resilient because, lately I've been doing a couple podcast interviews and they're like, wow, Michael, you've overcome some obstacles in life that many people just would have threw in the towel. They just would have folded like a wet noodle. So, I call myself Mr. Resilient. My goal in life is to help people to overcome obstacles, especially share my story with men. A lot of times us men, we're in the corner suffering in silence. We go through different things, or we don't know who we can talk to say, hey, I'm at work, I got this issue. We just kind of suffer in silence. So, I'm glad we reached out, we connected to kind of be a little transparent, right? We're going to pull back the curtain and share life experiences and some thoughts.
Yes, yes. And again, my name is Stephen Loney, and likewise, myself, I have gone through a lot of great things in life, but also have some trials and tribulation. But my heart always leans back to us as men. What does it mean to be a man? And so we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the real things that we go through, and also hope something that we can all grow through. Because in life, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So you can't say the same, and you can't expect everybody else to come to your rescue. But what it means for you to man up. So that's going to our first talking point. We're going to talk about this. We're going to actually put ourselves out there first person, but also we're going to talk about the real thing. We're going to bring the smoke here today. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about some things that's going to help us all to grow. Excuse me. But if you can, Mike, I want you to start this conversation also about what does it mean to man up. So I want you to start this conversation. And if anybody can jump in the chat with us, drop some information there that actually we can be able to talk on if it means something to you. All right. No doubt. Go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, man up. Basically, we got to start speaking our truths because every day the world is changing, right? And if you don't speak up, you don't say anything, you just following the herd. I saw this video the other day. It shows like a flock of sheep. It was like 100 sheep. And then there were these wolves telling the sheep, hey, those dogs, man, they keep having you hostage. Those dogs are just not letting you roam. The dogs won't let you have your freedom. Those dogs are hindering your development, right? So negativity in the air. Guess what the sheep did? The sheep went and had a conversation with the dogs. And they said, I'm tired of you keeping me locked up. I'm tired of you not letting me do what I want to do. So guess what the dogs did? The dogs left. All of a sudden, the sheep were walking down the street, down the forest, and guess what the wolves did? They did what wolves do. They ate them up. You see, in life, right? We got to be careful who is in our ear, right? Because they don't have our best interests at heart. And this is why, as men, we got to talk about it, right? Talk through some things we're going through. A lot of times, especially if you look at conferences, women conference this, women conference that, great. They're coming together, they're uniting, right? They're getting uplifted. They come back from the conference and they full of energy and joy. But guess what? We stay home, we watching the kids, taking care of the household. Once again, we're suffering in silence. So we just got to start speaking our truth. We got to get out, talk about it, right? Let's not pretend like everything is perfect, everything is rosy. We got to get out there and say, man, I got this situation. What you think about it? Hey, I'm going through this. What you think about it? Oh, I see you made this move. Can you tell me? Actually, I was on a call today. Somebody reached out, said, "Man, Mike, I see you posting these social media, and how are you doing it? What tools are you using?" I said, "I got you. Let's just set up a Zoom call real quick. I'll walk you through it." I did a demo, and then I said, "Hey, pull your screen up." You see, sharing is caring. That's what this is about. It's about developing the next man to be successful. When one succeed, we all succeed.
Mm,
What about
that's so
you? Tell
that's
me.
good, bro. When I hear the word man up, that means for me, straighten up your shoulders. Let's get ready
Okay.
to deal with the real. What is it when I think about a man, what makes a man a man? He faces whatever situation he has to face. You don't
Mm,
like it all the time. You don't like the situation you sometimes been put in, but you don't run from it. You just deal with what you can deal with, and you just get to the rest when you can, but you don't run from situations. You don't think that life is unfair. Life is never fair for anybody. But guess what? If it came to you, then you got to think it through. You got to roll up and say, hey, what do I need to do to face this situation? So many of our men, myself included, at a certain point in time, that I didn't want to take responsibility for what life dealt me. And that's what we have to do, especially as men. We have to man up and say, if it's to be, it's up to me. Take responsibility for my business. I take responsibility for my family. I take responsibility for whatever comes before me. I have to say, I may not have done it, but I have to deal with it in order for it to be.
mm.
And so that's what it means to me when I say man up. You have to face whatever life brings you, and you have to know, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to win, because I'm not going to give in. I'm going to stay in it, and I'm going to figure it out as I deal with it. And so, yes, you may not know everything, but what we don't do is tuck our tail and run. We face this
Ooh,
thing. And that's what I think
yeah.
about when I think about manning up. And we can go a little deeper. I just want to kind of get that conversation
So
brewing a little bit, to stir the pot a little bit.
if we
But
gotta
that's
touch on
what
that,
comes
tuck
to
the
mind.
tail
So you can, if you
and
want to jump
running.
back on that, if you want to dig a little deeper on that, and then I come back on a little bit more and kind of bring another piece on it, because I don't want to only just tell people that, but I also want to give true situations that I may have faced up with. So let me just kind of dive in on that, because I come from a upbringing where my father was in the house, but he was actually at one point in time a third child in the house. If I don't know of anybody, so I don't be quick when somebody say you need to have your parent in the house with you, because if they're not healthy at a certain point, may not be always wise to be, actively involved. Not saying that my dad shouldn't be, but I learned through my situation, I don't quick to say that. But I say all that to say that I've learned how to be a man through other men over time. So as I got older and I got involved into different business like network marketing, prepaid legal, I have some of my mentors like Corey Muhammad, other men who showed me what it meant to take responsibility, how to step up and take care of a family. When I got into a certain churches and stuff like that, I started seeing other men being examples. And that helped me to realize, hey, this is how I do. I don't just kind of play the field and try to be a player, move off my mama's nipples and get on another, you know what I'm saying, somebody else. No, I need to take responsibility. And so I seen by example what it meant to man up. And so that's why I was late bloomer, just like somebody else. But once I got it, I moved into those areas and I started working on me to move from, I say a lot of brothers get stuck at 17. So I moved from 17 and started maturing over time. And man, and it wasn't overnight. In some areas, I'm still maturing in. But it's a process of me manning up.
Let's test the connection, because I'm not sure if the live went through all the way.
Okay.
I'm not seeing it on the phone popped up, so I'm wondering if our connection is straight. It's showing starting soon. Let's do a check
I'm
here.
uploading on something. I don't know if that's it. Please upload local recording. Please ask all guests
Hmm.
in until the recording is done
Up
uploading.
in the upper right hand corner, do you see a
That's
check
it.
mark
Checked
at
in. So I
Facebook?
hope it's going through like we're supposed to. It's showing that everything looked good on my end. So hopefully everything is. We'll find out sooner or later. I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
know, but
clicking
are
your
you on social
photo.
media to see if it is?
Okay, okay. I think I just saw it. Yep, yep,
All
yep.
right. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see.
All right. I
Jump
think
in.
we're good. All
Okay.
right.
All right. Well, yo, go ahead and drop a piece if you. I see us on live. Yeah. I'm looking at me right now on Facebook.
Cool.
We in
All
there.
right. We in
But
there.
with that, man. So that is the first piece I really wanted to dive in, because not all of us are actually in the place that we would like to be. We're not facing up with life the way we would like for it to happen for us. But the responsibility is still on us as being the men, being the head, and in order to see the families prosper, it's up to us. And I'm glad you shared that story earlier, because it makes me think about a story that was told, and many of us probably heard this story. It was like they did a testing with elephants, and they actually took the men out of the tribe, out of the community, and they
Okay.
left the children and also the women. And so that one point in time they had like a lot of structure, everything was calm and peaceful. It was like it's supposed to be. After they removed the men from the families, they started seeing rebellion from the young adults, or the youth elephants. And so later on, they put the men back there in the community, and actually order came back. And so I say all
Wow.
that because that's the same thing we face with in our communities. I say
Mm,
because a lot of the time we say it's not my child, now these youth are out of control, blah blah blah. I'm not saying you got to come with a stern fist, but your presence is needed to be an
definitely.
example, say kind words with every day when I'm walking my dog in the morning time. I see the kid at the bus stop. I don't stop and just chit chat for a long time, but I speak to him. And then I also just kind of, I got one young guy who played football. I said, I'm going to come check you out this Thursday to your game. So I just kind of say, hey, just resonate and connect with him. Not saying I'm long drawn and trying to tell him what to do, but not just making my presence known. Be an example. Those small things go a long way. And so even when you go in the stores, like today when I went to Burger King, I'm in here talking to folks. I'm gave a little guy paid for his lunch, just doing the small things. Those little things go a long way. You don't have to change the world overnight, but you have to make your presence known. Those are some things that stand out to me. But go ahead, brother. I'll let you get some in.
Woo, man, you hot. There's so many
Oh yeah, I'm
jewels
coming
right
in hot.
there, right? The balance in the family right there, right? You got everybody playing their part, their role, and it's just, that's a powerful statement when you said that they tried to get a little order in there, and so, they brought the male elephant back up in there, to kind of put things back in order, which is a beautiful thing, basically saying that the family, the nucleus of a family is important, right? Is needed, right? We need mothers, fathers, children to be together under one roof in order to, allow the child to grow, to be nurtured from both sides, right? Because we all have something to give. The man has something to give, the woman has something to give. And together we create a whole person that's ready to go out there to tackle the world and to get different perspectives on it, to get different perspectives. I know you mentioned football, right? So if you notice the vibe when it comes to football, right? What happens with the little boys when they're playing football? This is society, right? The little boy get hit or something. Boy, get up, shut up, stop crying, right? That basically is like, hey, let's focus on the future, right? Let's focus on that next play. Let's keep it moving, keep it moving. In a way, it symbolizes, you lose $20. Man, don't dwell on it. Yes, it hurt, but what can you do? What can you do? It's over. It's in the past. It's in the rear view mirror. When you're driving down the street, you look forward. You look forward. You don't look backwards, folks. We all go through things, but it's about turning your head around, lift your head up, lift your chin up, and keep going. Keep going, man. Keep going.
Man, that's good stuff, bro. Something that you said was so on point, man. I'm thinking about times that what did not kill you is there to make you stronger. Sometimes in life, instead of looking at the cup as being half empty, looking at that cup as being half full. And it depends on your perspective of how you see a thing. Is usually how it you can do a thing. Meaning that sometimes that what you are going through. Sometimes, like yesterday, I had a situation where I had to go into a business. I'm not gonna call them out, but
Or
it was
don't
a
do it.
test of growth. I
Okay.
could have went in
Okay.
there with the negative light because they were dead wrong how they handled it. But I look at this as a time for growth. And so I looked at it as, man, I still can be kind, and by me demonstrating, this a soft touch, how I can make an impact in this situation. So I look at it, for me, if they didn't get anything from it, because I was talking to some young guys who were basically in there, I learned something about, man. I learned that, man, I can be uh under control. Now I do say, we all have
Mm,
some things we need to address in a firm in a in a way, but in that situation, I looked at it as, man, I came out, well, not to come at it a mean way. So, and my thing, it was is, you see that, you're growing, and you see that, hey man, I like the way I learned something more about myself. Even though I was wronged, I did not put fuel on that fire. I actually
mhm.
extinguish that fire out. And so sometimes in life, and that's something that I really want us to try to talk about next, because that leads us to the place of, you know, um, having that roar.
Okay.
Mm, what does that mean? I look at it a lot of times, us as men, we have that masculinity of a lion. The lion is the king, right? They're the
Yes.
ones that when they speak, people around them stop, and you hear that roar. You can hear that roar of the lion from miles around when they really let it go.
Mhm, mhm.
It let folks know, oh yeah, lion's in the presence, and it
Right,
shakes the
right.
ground.
He
And so
shakes
the
the
same
ground.
thing that lion has, that roar, and also they had them fangs, right? They had them fangs,
Mm,
and you look at that as a masculine, something there. And so, what is it about when I comparison to a man and that lion as a roar? What is it that man's voice matters in their house, in their community, and whatever they're part of? I want us to really talk about this, the power of the man's voice and that raw that we have. If you tap into it and don't shrink from it, because we all been given that gift, but some of us lean into it versus walk away or lean back from it. And so, if you don't mind, let's just talk a little bit about the power of that roar and that voice of a man.
man, I just immediately go back to the difference in chemistry, right? That testosterone, right? The testosterone kicks in. If we notice, most of the time when it comes to something escalating, it's between men, right? Because it's that testosterone that's like in us. That's like, yeah, we most of the time people want to fight physically versus using words, until you get older and you learn to kind of tame it. You got to tame it. But sometimes, you gotta let that roar out, especially, you go to bed 10 o'clock at night, you close the door, you lock it up, and then all of a sudden 11 p.m. you hear something by the window. Who's supposed to get up, right? Who's supposed to go check it out? That lion's supposed to get up and go check it out, right? And get ready. You got to be ready. And, I say it from that perspective. Also, from the fact of being a leader of the house, right? We all have our roles, but somebody has to lead. Somebody has to establish the blueprint. Like, where we going? And most of the time, now this is back in customary days, especially in Africa, where the woman leaves her house to go to the man's place, right? There's some traditions where the woman literally leaves her house with what she has on, which is that wedding gown. Okay. She leaves the house with the wedding gown. She's going to the man's place. Okay. It symbolizes that the man is supposed to provide and protect and
Mhm.
care for the woman, right? Because you need to have those fangs, right? You need to have that roar, the protector, the person who's creating the blueprint. Where we gonna go? How we gonna spend our money? What's the future? If you notice, especially with marriages, right? When the man goes to church, oh my goodness, it's something powerful. When you see the man in church, everybody else falls in line, right? It's just a powerful, like coming
Mhm.
full circle, making it complete. But what
Mhm.
say you? What say you, Stephen?
Man, you give me some good stuff and give me some good stuff to think on. Primarily, when I think about the men's roar or they speak, it's power in there. Now, I do want to share a little bit about my story so I can then bring it to the point that I want to go with it. Because even about me, I have an uncle. Now, my uncle, he's a pastor now. But back in the day, he was a packing, I guess you say he's still a packing pastor, put like that.
Mm,
He,
okay.
he that dude, he always had that aggression. Back in the day, he was quick to fight. He was quick to, handle it. Even my mom would tell me when he was a child, when he would get a whooping, he'd go outside and throw rocks at the house. That's the type dude he was. He
Mm,
shared with me later on, gave me this fight. I've always had this fight, but now I know how to contain and use this fight for the right reason. And so there's nothing wrong with having that pit. I would say I got that pit in me. I don't apologize for it. I mean, I don't have to go out there and bite everything. But when I need to
yeah.
bite, it's there. It's there. It ain't
Mhm,
going. Yeah, I know it's there. But knowing how to have that power under control, that speaks volume.
mhm,
Yes, we need to have that knowing when I need to speak up, I need to handle this thing, such as when my boys was raised, I had three boys I raised. When the time the school call, it wasn't for my wife to
mhm,
go to the school. It was for me to go there. Now, I didn't just go to
mhm,
school to go act up and get on them when they get in trouble, but I was showing up when watch dad. I was showing up for mentoring. I was showing up using my voice in other ways. It was times when we had workshops at the school that my organization would do called Future Leaders. It was times I would show up and use my voice in positive ways. But when I needed to show up when they act up, they know, oh yeah, he gonna deal with me on this side, but also he gonna be coaching in my football team too. So it's times when we need
mm,
to use our voice in a tough way to bring things back in line because we have to be one of discipline and when needed, but also we have to be there to reassure when needed also. So our voice carries weight and don't discredit that you have something great in you. And I speak not only to the men that who has a masculine voice and who's always dominant, think that talk and deal with things that are with a pointy finger, but also I speak to the man who's bashful and say, well, hey, I let the wife make most of the moves. I go to work, get the check, and I'm just gonna, let her handle it. No, not always, my man. So I challenge
mhm,
you this way, and I talked about it earlier. A lot of times when people do go to church, it's mostly led by the woman. Mm, I don't know about you, but sometimes men don't go to church unless they wife
mhm.
can,
Yeah.
can lead the throne to there. But I challenge you
Ye
here. I challenge you there is as the head go, so does the body. All right.
Yep,
So I'm not
yep.
saying nothing wrong with the wife being able to speak into you and encourage you, but also don't wait on the wife to encourage and to speak to you. You speak to yourself and encourage yourself to say, no, if the family needs something, I have to step up and be the one who's gonna lead by example. And it's good to have a help me who's willing to step in and help, but don't wait on that. If my wife never go to church, guess what? I'm going. If my
Mhm,
wife don't go to work, I had this situation from years ago in my previous marriage where my wife was laid off at one point in time. So guess what I had to do? I had to work 3 or 4 jobs at one time to get things done. I had to do it.
mhm,
Why? Because
mhm.
it was up for me to take care. And I had a mentor who spoke in my life about that because I was like, man, you know what? That ain't right. He's like, oh, slow your roll. He got a
Mhm.
man up on this. So he spoke in my life. And I was like, oh, yeah, I had to take that check. He checked me on
Mhm.
that. And I
I
say the
got you.
same thing because I had to go through it. I realized, man, hey, if I got to lose some sleep to take care of what I need to take care of, so be it. Let me do what I got to do. Let me step up and do my part to make sure I'm leading by example, not just by words. Mm. So I'll tell you this from first person, not from something that I read about. No, I check myself on this all the time. All right. So let you walk into that place of power, but also lead not only by your words, but also by your example.
Mhm,
No doubt. Good
mhm,
stuff. Good stuff.
mhm.
You want to chime on that? Or you
I'm good, man. Boy, you tore
enough
that one up.
said. Enough
Yeah.
said. Well, I'm gonna lead us with this one. This is the one we're gonna close out on right here. Because everything we share here, we might not quote scriptures, but sometimes I'm not gonna shy away. If something laid on my heart, everything I do is Christ led. I don't apologize. I don't shy away from that. That's what my foundation, that's my rock, that's what I stand on. But I also have to preach from the scripture, but I will lead sometime if needed. All right. But I say everything is from a biblical principle, such as gravity. Gravity is a principle, right? What goes
Mhm,
up must
mhm.
come down. If you don't believe it, go
Must.
jump off a building, you will see. But
Mhm,
so same principles, the same things we live and we share on, and that's times where we will talk about that. But the last one I want to close us out with and and it does come from a scripture in in Genesis. And I'm kind of want to open up, make sure I'm speaking on it correctly. But it's basically um knowing your role. Kind of let the cat out of the bag too fast, but knowing your role. What is it that we as men have been called to? All right. And so I want to kind of dig into that because let's think of here. I have this mouse right here. This mouse has a role. And a lot of times we think as a man, we identify ourselves for what we do. Yeah. You know, when you see each other, you say, "Hey, what's been good, man?" You know, you blah blah blah. Keep it on, catch up on conversation. So we ask each other, "Hey, what do you do?" And
Hmm.
we may say, "I'm a trucker, I'm a doctor, I do this and do that." Those are things that you do, but is that all who you are? It's a difference on knowing who you are versus what you do. Because that when it's all said and done, a lot of us deal with different areas of incompletion because we only focusing on what we do and not who we are. So a portion of us is unfulfilled and not really even being identified, not even being used because we don't even tap in to who we are. And so when I talk about this mouse, if this mouse, if we look at it as black, it look like it could be a paperweight. It can do that. It actually can do
Hmm.
a lot of other things. But unless we actually tap into what it's been created for, we would then underutilize this tool. And so that's the thing we have to find out from the maker. Now, the maker of this one is Lego. Okay. Lego is the maker of this. Now, when you get this mouse, it comes with instructions, right? It has a blueprint of what you should do and how to use it. You got to put the batteries in. You got the little piece you got to put inside the computer and use the Bluetooth. If you never read the instructions, you may not understand the full functions of certain things. And so I share that with you in this way because all of us have been created by a maker. Even if you want to give it credit or not, we all have someone who some a being that has made we've been created from. Until we really understand the instructions of who we are, we can't really work in our full capacity. And that's what I want to share with us right now. Because when you understand who you are and whose you are, you then can follow those instructions that have been given to you to really maximize and tap into your full potential. That makes sense. Am I speaking?
Eh, you speaking,
That's what's up. That's
that's
what's
some
up.
good stuff. That's a good
Well, I
stuff right
want to
there.
just yes, yes. I don't know if you want to say something before I go here, but I wanted to go ahead and share with you the blueprint of what is the instructions that we have been given in order to walk into the full potential of who we are. If I can, I'm gonna share this with you right quick. And if you can, those who may take a note, whatever, go to Genesis 1:28, and it said, and God blessed them. And God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish, over of the sea, and over the birds and of the heaven, and over everything that moves in the earth. God, behold, given every plant yielding seed that is on the first face of the earth, and every tree with seed in the fruit. And so those are the things we've been instructed to do. Now, I want to share this with you before I really dig in on it. That even though we have some instructions to do some things. One thing you did not hear it say that we are to rule over who? Over one another. So a lot of times we get so caught up in saying, well, hey, I got these people who work for me. Yeah, y'all say I ain't never called that's not been my instruction for you to rule over no people. I had you to rule over some things. So to so we can't get that out of line because when you do that out of line, guess what happened? We start thinking we own people when we shouldn't. That we've been through times like that when people had slavery and all that, and that caused what? Destruction. So we have to make
Yeah.
sure we're in alignment with this thing. Now you may have supervised people, but you don't own them. And so I want to kind
No.
of talk on that right quick because when you understand how we should operate, then we can fulfill the fullness of your purpose. Because all of us are wanting to pursue purpose, but we have to understand how it's been instructed for us in order for us to obtain and to get to that place. Make sense? So I'm gonna back off. I want you to step
That
in, Mike.
makes sense.
Okay, I'm gonna come and close this thing. Yes,
Hey,
sir.
hey, okay. Thanks for handing the baton. When I heard you speaking, I was thinking, I was like, purpose. I kept hearing the word purpose,
Mm,
and a lot of times, I think people they get caught up in other people's vision of who they should be.
mm,
They get caught up in following other people's footsteps. It's like when it's snowing outside, right? The snow comes down, you see the snow start to accumulate and accumulate and accumulate. And then if you were to walk outside your porch and you start walking in the snow, you're going to start leaving footprints when you turn around and look behind, right? Those are your footprints. Now, is it that the person that comes out the door behind you, are they supposed to follow every one of your footsteps? Because that's
mm.
what's starting to happen. People are starting to follow somebody else's footsteps.
Wow.
That means they're following somebody else's purpose. What's meant for that
Mm,
man is not meant for you.
mm,
We were all designed differently with a purpose, different vision, different goals. And we know it's so true when you look at marketing. When you think about, oh, I want to buy a car, and you look at all these different car dealers out there. We got this car dealer, that car dealer, we got the Lexus, we got Toyota, we got Hyundai, we got Chevy, we got all these different manufacturers out there. And then guess what? They got different colors. You get it in green, white, blue, leather, cloth seat. Why? Because they know each one of us is uniquely made and we have our own design purpose. And we need to follow that inner voice to be great, to believe. I always say, believe it, you can achieve it. Sometimes you will face an obstacle, but you will get through it. And I was thinking, I was in the kitchen and something hit me. I was like, man, when you take a look at a boomerang, right? The boomerang has a little white thing with a rubber band. And now you can make your own, right? Get some sticks, put that rubber band on there, rubber, and then you just kind of pull it back a little bit. Now, what happens when you pull it back, right? You pull it back a little bit, it's just going to drop in front of you. But when you pull that thing back a little further, right? You pull it back, and when you let go, woof, it's going to go further. Why? Because you added more resistance to it. Huh? Talk to me. You went through a little bit more than somebody else. Ooh, you've been pulled back a little bit more compared to somebody else, which means that now when you face that obstacle, you're going to overcome that. That's easy. That's
mm.
light work. That's light work. That's why we go through things in life so that, think about it. When we were young, there's some stuff that would have tripped us up. Now we don't even think about it. Like when you was a baby, you tried to crawl, you couldn't crawl. Then you tried to stand. Now we running and chewing gum at the same time. Talk about it. We don't even think about it. We just get up and move. We just get up like automatic. We breathing. It's automatic. Soon, when you in your purpose, you're gonna wake up and you just gonna fall in line. Things are just gonna hit you. The spirit is just gonna hit you, and you just gonna move. And then 5 months later, someone can say, "Wow, that thing you did really impacted me. How'd you get there? How'd you do it?" See, if you're living in your purpose, people are watching and noticing. But what say you? What you got? I know you got something to add.
Man, I want to hit on this one before I actually take it to another page. But you said something that I heard from Bishop Jakes, and he always say this: "Don't be a cheap copy when you be a great original." Man, so
Ooh.
yes, 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 that's hot right there, hot off the press. So stop trying to be like anyone else. Yes, you may admire how they speak, you may admire how they do a thing, but don't always want to be who that person is, because God made you different. He created you for something totally different than that person. You can support, you may can help, but don't try to be in those people's shoes, because worst thing you can ever do. Another thing Bishop Jake said, one thing, if I wanted to kill a young pastor, I would give him my ministry, because you wasn't built for this. You didn't go through the same thing I went through in order to get to where I'm at. So don't ever wish to be in someone else's shoes, but just wear the shoes that you wear well. And trust me,
Mm.
wherever you're supposed to get to, if you just embrace yourself in that season that you're in, learn all you can, do all you can in that season, guess what? You're gonna get where you're supposed to get to. So, like I said, both of us right here, my man Michael, myself, we're both speakers. But guess what? I'm not trying to speak on the same things he speak on. I can't speak like he speak. Guess what? But I would encourage and lift his arms. I don't believe in being a poor number one when I'm supposed to be a great number two, right? But if I can help him, I'm gonna help him. But I'm not gonna try to outdo him. That's foolish. I'm gonna do my thing, and he gonna do his. And guess what? We're gonna win together. Everybody can't play the same position. Yes, everybody want to be the quarterback or the running back, but guess what? The lineman is needed. So when you play your position, when we win, when the team win, we all win, right? And that's what you have to be willing to do. But that wasn't what I would want to talk about. I wanted to go back to the scripture. But I had to say something about it, baby, because you laid the door open. You left the door open, so I had to get in there. But anyway, I wanted to make sure I left you with the understanding of our role as men. What does that mean? We have to multiply. That don't mean just having babies. All right. Yes, we supposed to multiply there too, but it's other ways to multiply. You can add your supply wherever you go. Whenever you walk into a room, guess what? Your smile need to come in. Your presence needs to be there. You need to let people know you're there to brighten the room up. So you need to multiply wherever you go. So wherever it bothers you, that's what you've been called to help fix. So yes, I may not see the same thing you see, but if that's something that's under your skin, say, man, I wish we could do something about that. Yes, these young boys, blah, 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 whatever you see, guess what? Get in the trenches and do it. That's what you need to multiply. You need to add to. You may not be the one who can do it all by yourself, but if someone is doing that, don't talk about them. Get in the trenches with them. If you don't like the way they're doing it, say, hey, how can I help? Get in there with them. Multiply. Because when two come together, yes, we can get a lot of things accomplished. So add your stuff there. But also it says to be fruitful and multiply, but also subdue. Subdue. That means to take under, to do what you've been called to do. Find out what you're good at. Because what you're good at may not be the same thing I'm good at. Guess what? I'm not good at doing the computers and all that. I can do a little something. I understand what we're doing, but I had to reach out to my guy, Mike, when I had to get my work, working on my website. Hey, brother, help me out a little, boom, boom, boom. He was able to step in and work with me. So whenever you're good at something, be willing to give it. Add value as often as you can to a situation. So before you go for a handout, guess what? You need to be giving your hand up. So don't always try to say, what about me? Why ain't nobody take it? No, forget that. What can you sow a seed into? Because before you can actually reap a harvest, you have to give a seed into the ground. And so once you plant that seed, now over time, you keep tending to it. Guess what? It's going to bring forth a harvest. But you can't go to it tomorrow and expect to get a harvest. No, you got to put that seed, you got to water it, and you got to take care of that, what you put in the ground over time. And so I want to encourage you to do your part by being the answer, not just only to yourself, but unto others. And so I'm not going to dig no deeper. I want to share that. And also, Mike, do you want to add anything before we get out?
Man, that blueprint, man, something, I felt the blueprint. And you said when you're in a room, and it just hit me. It said, when you enter the room, right, share your knowledge, right? Multiply. You multiply by sharing that knowledge so that others can be great as well. There's room for more than one person at the table. We all can eat. Share the knowledge with the young folks. Share the knowledge with your fellow brothers, sisters, mothers, whoever. Share the knowledge, right? And then set the example, right? The blueprint. When you walk in, set the example. You set the example. The other people set the example. Food is done, is ready. Time for everybody to eat. Now, if you come to the table and you just on Zoom talking to whoever on Zoom at the dinner table with the laptop in front of you talking, and then you just looking around, not paying people no attention, you setting the example, right? But if you put the phone away, bless the table, dear Lord, thank you for this wonderful food that you provided for us to be able to, you pray, you bless the food. Guess what's going to happen? When, say you had to work late and it's time to eat, somebody going to bless the table because you set the blueprint. They're going to multiply and copy your examples. Back over to you, Stephen.
Man, that's awesome. I think you closed it out on the right thing. Be what you want to see. And other than that, I thank y'all so much for tapping in with me. Mike, I appreciate you so much for even putting this into my spirit and allow us to have this conversation, to get together and put this out here, because us as men, we need to have information. We need to have encouragement. We get to have stuff that's going to empower us to really step into that arena of life, because life going to do what? It's going to smack you. It's going to hit you. But guess what you got to do? You got to get up and fight back. Because somebody told you that you cannot accomplish, you cannot be who you know you have in you, you don't take that as that is what it is. No, you shake it off. No, I may have been that in my past, but that's not who I am now. I can't change yesterday, but I can make a difference on who I am today and who I will be tomorrow. And so I want to encourage us as men. Let's get in this game of life and let us play our part. And know at the end, guess what? We will win. Thank you again. We appreciate you stopping in, checking this out. Please share this with somebody else. Do like, do subscribe. And in the meantime, be great.